We're all good. Go ahead. Okay. Welcome everyone to our September meeting. I'll be chair for the meeting as the chair is absent today.
Yeah, let's everyone sit here or up there.
Oh, well, we have one more authority member there, but we do have that one available.
I'm getting back to that.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
That's usually what they put in the church.
Planning commission.
And it's on the commission.
And we'll start the meeting with a review of the minutes. Hope everyone had a chance to look them over. There are no edits. We'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Recognize the motion to approve by Keith, Mr. Sanders. Second by Mr. Alexander. All in favor? The meeting minutes were approved unanimously. And then we'll move on to airport manager report.
All right, thank you, sir. Looking at our financials, we did better than I really expected in August, because August still is not quite football season quite yet, but we still did better in our revenues than our expenses. We did well in our avgas, did well in our Jet A sales. The airport fees didn't hit its mark, mostly because in the month of projection, you know, we kind of expected some football activity, but we didn't quite get that in August, so that was down a little bit. But definitely for September, you know, we're going to see some good marks in airport fees. We didn't have any avgas, and I didn't confirm that with Davin, but that's true, right?
That is true. Yeah. No, we didn't buy any avgas for August.
And then airport services, we've been doing a lot of maintenance, and so there's a lot of maintenance. There's also personnel that we have that we are anticipated, you know, getting things ready on the airport for football season. So that has increased, but mostly maintenance. We've had, as you can tell, it's hot in here, so we're having to buy a new unit for this this particular part of the building. And so that's also gonna have to hit sometime, probably September, hopefully. But all in all, it looked pretty good. We came ahead 65,000, and year to date still in good shape.
Michael, you probably mentioned this last month because I think it's the same as last month. The leases were running about 5,000 more revenue.
Yeah, but hit on that. Davin, do you know the lease?
I can't, I didn't hear.
The leases are $5,000 more.
Yeah,
What's 5,000?
Of the leases.
lease revenue, it's
Yeah.
running about 5,000 more a month
Yeah,
than budget. there.
right. Yeah. I mean, so our, you know, we had the cost of living, cost of living increase, which occurred July 1. So, yeah.
Oh, okay, so pretty much that's take pretty much every lease.
It does impact everything except for the land leases. All the other leases are impacted by that.
Okay,
And I don't know if I would use the figure 5,000. I can get you an exact figure because of course it also depends on when people pay their bill. You know,
right.
some people pay it ahead, some people pay it behind. So, you know, I can get you a complete figure as what it should be.
Now that's okay. It looks like last 2 months have been right at 5,000.
Yeah, yeah.
Got just to kind of break down a little bit on our avgas, 1,983 to be exact. So we're up to 14,000 gallons for avgas. Jet A, 43,000. quite an increase from July, where July we had 26,000. So, we did very well. And we expect to do very well in September, through October, as we get to basketball season as well. Our operations, just to compare, July was 2,600, August, 3,600, so 1,000 more, operations. So we're starting to come out of summer, it looks like, where, June and July are kind of a slow month for us. Any questions on the financials? Moving on to our projects. So we've got, we currently, still have runway 220 open, as far as the project, and we had some money left over to, that we really didn't want to return back to, GDOT, so they allowed us to use that extra money and reallocate it to another line item. So we reallocated it to our fencing project in that project. And so what we did, we have somebody now that's installing, as of yesterday, installing the fence. Probably take about 30 days to get that completed. And once that's completed, we should be able to close out 220 project. And then do a final closeout with the Snell on that, giving their retainage. They've done an excellent job on that project. As you know, they're also doing the Alpha project, doing an excellent job on that too. So we'll be excited to get 220 closed out. It was a good project from start to finish. The Alpha project, we anticipate that. I just got an email about an hour ago from Snell. They anticipate that they will go ahead and have all of the edges from taxiway dressed up. They're throwing down a lot of seed right now, and then putting covering over that to protect it. With this rain coming too, a lot of it's probably going to be washed away. And in all reality, it's going to be washed away. But they did put sod in some areas because a couple of weeks ago we had a pretty heavy rain, and it washed some things down because some of it has hills. But around Alpha 3, there was some washout that went onto the taxiway. So what they did, they put a couple rows of sod, along the edge line on both sides of Alpha 3 in hopes that that would eliminate any wash from that getting onto the taxiway. So it is what it is, we'll just have to brace for it and prepare for it. But today and tomorrow, they've started marking. It's a temporary marking that they put on. After the asphalt's done, they'll put a temp marking on it. And then after 30 days, after your cure time, they'll go ahead and come back and do a final marking with all of the paint and glass beads. And so, it looks really good. They're doing a good job out there. But, again, I don't know what this weather's going to bring. I've seen some reports, as far as timelines, I'm not sure. We also have, this is kind of off note, but we also have Delta coming in to pick the team up, Friday. And so, we're hoping that a lot of it subsides at that point in time. They'll come back Saturday late, 2 a.m, really, it's Sunday. So hopefully all that'll be gone and that won't be an issue. We have a soccer team going out Thursday night. And or maybe it's Friday, but they're going to position Thursday night and head out Friday. So, this tropical storm or whatever it is right now, will definitely come into play in some of the activities and business that we have going on. But we do anticipate Alpha reopening tomorrow evening. Hey, there you go, Dave. And everything done. The lighting is done. That's all working. Everything's good there. So, yeah, all in all, we're really pleased with it. Let's see. As far as the control tower, I haven't heard a lot about it. I know that you and I think that you had discussed it at one meeting. That's the last I've heard.
Yeah,
I've really heard
I
of it.
believe everybody, what you and I have already talked about.
Yeah.
So everybody's up to speed. New
Okay.
amendment, no new news.
No new news, no, but it's still going well. We do have, design going on right now with, Taxiway Bravo and a new parking lot. And so that is in the works right now. We're hoping that maybe we can get funded on the Bravo project. Early next year, I think, early 25. Once the design is done, we do have a meeting tomorrow for 90% completion on the design to go over that. And we've got some signs, some old signage out there that we want to get rid of. We've got some lighting that we probably need to redirect a little bit. So I have called in Chris, who was our old maintenance person. I called him in because he knows everything about the layout of this airport. And then also I brought in the operations, and I'm also bringing the tower chief because I want to make sure that the new design, is flows well, and that when they direct the traffic on the ground, that everything, is easy for them. So I included them in that meeting too. Let's see, I think that's all I have on the projects. Anything in marketing and outreach, Dan?
Just we've got, I think it's 6 tours that are lined up for this fall. So the Athens-Clarke County did a blurb on us and tours on their social media, and that brought some folks to schedule with us. So we'll have 6 tours, probably about probably close to 300 folks. So our kids. So yeah.
Like what kind of,
What's that?
Are you doing all of those?
No, I'm doing, we're kind of splitting them up between myself, one of our part-time operations folks, and Jay Pullen and Alton Brent, our firefighters. So we're just kind of, trying to split them up and do them that way.
is that like roughly next few months? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, through November.
Through November.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We get a lot, of course, when spring break is and it's almost time to get out of school. We're all looking for places to go. For to tour. So they usually pick us. It's gonna get busier and busier. All right, thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
That's all I had, sir.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. And next is old business, the Lexington corridor update.
Yeah, there wasn't a meeting this month either, but the mayor and commission actually did approve all of those little projects for funding. So, that the pace is glacial at best, but, they're moving forward to at least use that money for the 10 projects, which are mainly sidewalk gaps and improvements along the corridor. So, to keep you posted. But I think the meetings will start again this coming month. But that's it for that one.
Thank you. New business, we have none. And then standing committee updates, business and finance.
Yeah, the only update, we're gonna, Davin's got a little update. Davin, you have it on your screen where, I think mostly Davin worked on, first step, which we'd said before in our meeting would be this is regarding the fact sheet about the, Benap's airport. And, so we said our first step would be just to get updates to facts, the information that we have in the fact sheet, which most of it is from about 2-3 years ago. So Davin, I think you got most all of that done. And then the next step would be, a more modern format and then put it out there, work on that format and then put it out for maybe. Davin, do you want to, I don't know if everybody wants to go through, you think it makes sense to go through the items? It is all the items that we had highlighted in yellow before. And Davin, I think I just had a couple of quick questions for you. If you look at it, Is that where you've actually, updated?
Yes.
Yeah, you have, okay, because you've got the first one was the, where we were eighth in the state and now we're 10th.
That's right.
Okay, we're dropping, Mike. Anyway, so you've already updated everything, on it. Anybody want to review that information or, Davin, you have anything to add? About your,
I have a question about the ranking. What's that based on? Is that a good question?
Yeah, that's a great question.
there's a number of visitors, but, is that,
I mean, it's not based on operations count?
No,
No.
because we don't have an operations count. So, I mean, well, we have an operation from a plane standpoint, yes. But as far as this is actually based on employments, which is not really a good figure. I don't know where the previous figure came from, when we were eighth. So I'm just basing it on employments is what I'm basing it on.
I'm just curious where we would rank in operations.
Yeah,
Is it for fire?
and that's a good question. And I don't know if I know where I can find.
I know where I'm.
Okay. So, maybe operation, the unfortunate thing is it's gonna be hard because a lot of our operations are also, they can be touch and goes. So, which, I guess counts.
Even just approaches.
So too at any other airport.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
how do they
They
track
count them
them?
every day.
Yeah.
How do they track them at non-staffed airports? Like, how do you know?
Well, I mean, typically that's mostly just tower airports that they do. But that's really who we'd be competing with, I would think too. I mean, I forget how many tower airports there are in the state. I can never tell you the truth.
But yeah, if you've got a better figure, I'm more than,
We're starting to use ADS-B now, aren't they?
And what is that? And do all kinds of things with they do.
Yeah.
anything else, Davin, that, you had questions about with the, sources or data or? We've got a couple here where there was no new GDOT data available yet.
Well, actually, you've got a number of operations that are down. Not a ranking, but we have an item, the number of operations.
yeah.
And actually, under visitors and passengers, you still got eighth in the state A.
Does it,
Yeah, I mean, they're only so useful, those sorts of numbers anyway.
is it worth mentioning that we now have such a few?
We can add that, yeah.
Yeah, that could be facilities and services. Yeah.
Yeah, there.
We worked hard for that, didn't
That's right. Long time coming.
we? Yeah. Came down on the price today.
We need to figure out how to get that finished.
Oh, it's not on full flight, yeah.
Not,
No.
okay, we can do that. Yes, we can.
It's like not even an option.
Yeah,
It only shows full serve pricing.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it shows no.
oh, you mean on ours, but other airports?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
It needs to be added by,
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
I think you've got to,
gotta go
yeah,
as the owner there, or owner of that
Yeah,
asset.
yeah.
We have an account
the,
that we get.
the teams, perhaps something. That's what I found.
And I know Christina was having some issues signing into full flight, so she was, I don't know, I haven't followed back up with her. See, I gave her some contact information.
Yeah, I'll check with her.
Yeah.
They're pretty responsive. I mean, that's pretty good.
We wanted a credit card. We've never had to give credit cards just to put fuel prices on. But that was where it changed. And so.
Well, I think Christina was
Oh,
mistaken. Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah. I don't think you have to have a paid subscription.
You do
to
not.
put the
Yeah, I
fuel
will.
price on. Yeah,
Okay.
All right, unless it's changed.
but I do think she's got to reach out to them to figure out how to do
And I
that.
think she did. She did that when I was standing with her, but I don't know what she's heard back.
Okay.
I'll find you.
Deb, do you want to keep scrolling down this to the end so everybody kind of sees, this is the yellow items that you've updated. Maybe a little bit more on that, maybe another half page below or.
So what's the question? I'm sorry.
Can you keep scrolling down? I think you still have about a half a page.
What are you looking for?
It's a section that has current, includes current and potential initiatives that AHN, that's a big yellow area.
It'd be right
This
there,
one
right
here.
here.
There you go.
Can you scroll up? Yeah. Have to go up some.
You want to go up?
Yeah, I think there's just one paragraph just above that. I think we have to go to the left. There you go. There's-
So do you really want to leave those on, some of those? I mean, I thought we had a discussion about the fact that some of those, you know, kind of remove, or you move beyond them. And I don't know, you know, how prudent it is to leave them up there still.
Which category are you thinking?
That one with all the yellow,
Oh, there,
you know,
yeah,
like I mean, I guess the new airport entrance is in theory still possibility. And the monument sign, but then the micro park was something that when we were doing the strategic plan, Mike, remember, we did say, well, we probably should, you know, move that off because
Yeah.
it was beyond that. now.
Yeah, that's,
So, same with the multi-use trail,
right.
and it's up to you whether you leave the runway park, I mean, that may still be, but I mean, I just think the micro park and the multi-use trail, we talked about the fact that some
Yeah.
of the plans and projects are trying to be pushed them, so I
Yeah.
don't leave them on there, I think they, you know, if they're really off the table, we should take them out of the list.
Yeah, yeah, I think that should come off. The micro park's done. Multi-use, we probably won't talk about that anymore for a long time. Chalmers Runway Park, I'll keep that on. We'll
Yeah.
talk about that somewhere.
Maybe just delete the first two of those. And again, actually, it's under sustainability, you mentioned micro park under development and trails, that probably should also come out. Then. And then next to the section that's not highlighted in the other.
then where it starts green space recreation.
Yeah,
Should they go for the next one too, about solar installations, tree planting program?
I think that's Mike's prerogative, really. I just, yeah, I think there's a caution in putting things, if you have really no
Yeah,
plan to do them, you're inviting people to say, you know, are you padding the list? You don't want to be accused of padding. If you really don't have any, you know, plan to do it, it can always come back into play if. at some
Yeah,
point.
I kind of take it out. I mean, around an airport, you don't want
Yeah,
to, hate to say, it, you don't want to plant trees.
yeah.
It's an obstruction, you know? I hate to say that, but,
yeah.
Anything else, anybody? Devin, I'll probably reach to you, connect with you soon. I know as a matter of fact, this is another update. We'll be having our strategic plan review, in October for this, quarter we're in now, so we'll be getting with it. Any other input on that, so far? Next step's gonna be kind of tie this down, get all that data, updated, and then, work on the, format for print and online.
Are those, year dates in the data sources? Did you update those or are they still the same?
They're still the same, I think,
Okay.
because really the airport administration and financial data
Mhm.
and the tax commissioner's office, those two,
Yeah, okay.
but everything else, you know, has not been updated.
All right.
That's it for me. Great.
And, the grading committee. Any updates? Anything? And then air service development and market.
nothing right now on that front.
Very good.
What's the update on week meeting with American? Any update on that?
And yeah, I mean, we're still trying to get, get some meetings. But,
Yeah. Okay.
We'll move on to other business. We have some guests here from planning and zoning and W&A engineering. We have a presentation on 450 Gain School Road.
We'll introduce ourselves real quickly and kind of throw the ball over to y'all. So, John Woodward, Development Services Coordinator with the Planning Department. And
Stephen Jacques, Leonard 3, like, probably, whatever, team.
so I think our goal is kind of introduce why we've come today and then introduce the applicant. And so this project is, nothing's been officially submitted in any formal capacity. We have in kind of preliminary stage, we offer visioning meetings, which are kind of non-binding meetings where applicant can reach out and request a meeting with staff from various departments, kind of go over the high level concepts, concept plan and get initial, again, high level feedback. And one of the things, Mike was joined us for that meeting, and the discussion was, obviously this project with what they're proposing, we need to go through planning commission, mayor commission, come to you all, as special use. And one of the conversations was in this preliminary stage, it's a pivotal decision on, the airport's decision and recommendations going to be pivotal to the project. So to get in front of you all and kind of introduce the project before something's been formally submitted, to hear your feedback and hear areas where maybe matter of give and take, or what areas would be contentious as far as height, whatever, let's see, look at the projects. And we're happy to answer any questions, like Stephen said, if, a lot of future land use questions, density, that's kind of his specialty, that's fair. Yeah, a little bit. So, but I think it'd probably be the best interest for the developers to.
Yeah, we can kind of introduce the project to you guys and we'll start from there. Yeah, so you guys have seen the updating Devin Day.
I'm Jared York. I'm the president of JW York Homes and Development.
Is it okay if we just kind of pull up the table there? I'll let you see. You got no? Yeah, oh, Dan. Thank you. Next to John.
All right.
I have to keep him straight, not to John. So, well, thank you guys for taking the time to talk with us a little bit. So like John said, we're really early in the planning stages. So, to give you a brief of where the site is located, it's, at the corner of Gain School Road and, Sunnyview Drive. So, the, entrance to Cedar Creek subdivision. So it's just across Gain School Road application. And, the site is currently vacant. It's been vacant for quite a while. It was, the property, was owned by the, originally the, hospital authority. And then obviously when Piedmont acquired the hospital authority property, this became Piedmont's. Prior to Piedmont owning it and the hospital authority owning it, it was a trail. Yeah. So, but it's sat vacant for quite a while. It's actually a fairly nice flat piece of property, so it's really a great location to develop from a topographic perspective.
So is this Gain School Road?
This is Gain School here.
Okay, so it
This
goes
is-
back.
Cedar Creek. And so W&A is a civil engineer and planner for JW York, and Jared is the developer. And so kind of gives you an idea of the current condition and then where we're headed. So the property is zoned currently today, zoned RS 15. So that's single family residential. And that 15 means 15,000 square feet of lot size. And it's also the portion along Gain School Road is zoned CO, or commercial office. That allows for the typical commercial office space that you see along Gain School Road. What we're proposing is a little bit different. We're proposing single family lots, but as townhomes. And we're proposing 79 total townhome units. That includes a few ADU units, 10 ADU units. Are you guys familiar with the term ADU and townhomes?
Not ADU.
Great, great. So townhomes is typically, fee simple, but it's attached. So, if that makes sense, a fee simple attached home. And ADU is, an alternative dwelling unit, so, similar to a mother-in-law suite. And so that's, part of the product and project. And then we have about 10,000 square feet of commercial space that would front on Gettysburg Road. So, I mentioned that the current zoning.
No, I'm just looking.
Okay, I mentioned that the current zoning is, CO, commercial office, and RS 15, single family residential. We're proposing to rezone the property to, RM, we're still in debate, but we're thinking RM1 or RM2, so that's, multifamily. And, the RM1 and RM2, RM stands for multifamily, residential multifamily. And, 1 and 2, just as a distinction between the densities. So, RM1 allows for 16 bedrooms per acre, and RM2 allows for 24 bedrooms per acre. And Stephen's here to keep me honest. If I look at it, I'm making sure we're on the same page. So, and then in order to accomplish this, we're gonna need to ask for a couple of waivers too. So rather than asking for a straight rezone, for instance, if we were to ask to go from single family to RM, that we would refer to that as a straight rezone. We don't think that's the best fit for this product, so we're asking for a PD or planned development. That request will include the request to rezone the property to either RM1 and RM2 for additional density. And then the PD part about it is that we're going to ask for some waivers. So we're going to ask for some adjustments for parking, some adjustments for driveway locations, things of that nature that are better. Another way to say that is variances, but that's not the technical term. We're asking for to waive some requirements, or use some alternative design methods to address ACC requirements.
So where's the green space in this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this is the central green. So this is the commercial space here. We have a new public street that would bisect the property, starting where the entrance to Cedar Creek and aligning with, I believe this is Woody Lane. These are the residential units here throughout. And then we have this green space that fronts public street.
Are these the commercial
Yeah.
units here?
Mhm.
So they would be shops or
Yeah, they would be potential shops, yes.
Is there currently a traffic light right there where it intersects with Cedar Creek subdivision?
There is no.
There's no.
would you require a traffic light for such a big development?
Not with those numbers.
Not with
No.
these?
Traffic impact analysis usually are required when you have 1,000 trips per day or 100 within a peak hour. So this would not.
And as part of the traffic light evaluation, we're required to do what would be called a warrant analysis. So, there are several warrants or requirements that will trip the need for a signal. Traffic engineers try to limit the amount of signals you put somewhere. And so, yeah, we don't think this would be the warrants.
In the right, I was just looking at it earlier, it looks like it's about 2,000 feet, on the right, about 2,000 feet beyond the end of the one runway there. In other words, it'd be about 10 inches below that photograph right there at the end of the.
Kind of in
No,
the.
not the north-south
Two.
runway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it would be probably.
it's about right there. So it's about,
About half a
I'm
mile.
sorry, about 2,000 feet from the end of the runway.
About half an hour,
Okay.
just some.
I know we've gotten public complaints from Cedar Creek more than any other neighborhood. I mean, we don't get a lot about noise and things. Also, the density is definitely a lot more than the areas around, correct? Looks like around there is mostly single family and this plot would be a lot more density, correct?
There's a lot of multifamily if you keep going down the street.
Yeah, if you go away from you're going away from the runway, it gets more density.
Yeah, between here and the school, there's multiple large multifamily projects, and then behind here as well, there's some multifamily too.
I was just kind of zooming in, just bringing up comments, zooming in on where the runway, the direction goes, so.
Can you show us on the screen where it would go?
About where it is, where the cursor is.
Yeah.
Maybe that area, can you turn the aerial image, would that help?
Yeah, close.
Satellite view.
Is satellite
Click
view.
the satellite wire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then, let's see,
now you can see the green, plot. Right,
It's
yeah.
about 7 acres.
It's 8 acres. Yeah, 8 acres.
So who's your market for this? Who is it?
This is single family for sale. So the goal here would be to get the new construction in the price point where the community needs it. So when we do our market research on this, in Athens, Georgia right now, buyers need to buy new houses priced between $300,000 and $425,000 in that market. When you get above $425,000, the absorption rate that our community can handle goes down drastically. When you get over $500,000, it goes down to just 20 or 30 units a year, whereas you're in that $300,000 range, that absorption rate is, hundreds per year. That's what's keeping people from entering the housing, the housing chain, buying a house when they're young and developing equity and stepping up to their next home. Unfortunately, the drivers in our market right now are concrete's expensive, stormwater's expensive, all the things we have to do to develop are getting really expensive. So the only way we can combat that and put the product in the market that we need is we need higher density to do that. Basically what happens is we need more units per yard of concrete we have to pour. We need more units per stormwater system that we put in, and that's what drives the need for this type of density. Also, when you look at a project like this, Athens is running out of flat buildable parcels that already have utilities next to them and sewer capacity and things like that. So as a community, when we look at these things, we only have a few of them left. So if somebody goes in and puts 20 or 25 units here instead of 70 or 80, that's starving the community and the market of those units. And then we don't have a replacement parcel somewhere else down the road to put them in the future. So I think, I think kind of some things are changing in the air of both elected officials and planning officials kind of realizing that, hey, we've got to utilize these parcels better because we're running out. And I think the only other thing I wanted to point out is the only reason that we would be asking for an RM2 designation, I know Clarke County right now is a little bit overbuilt with student housing and multifamily right now. The zoning for residential standards is very difficult to do a townhome project, if that makes sense. There are lot coverage requirements, there are number of units connected requirements, there are things that were written when our world was kind of a little bit different in terms of zoning, and they have never been updated. And so what happens is it's easier for us to ask for a multifamily zone in terms of things like density and building height and number of units we can put together. Basically, the layout of the project works better there. But the important thing to know about it is that it is fee simple and it's for sale. And fee simple means you own the lot and then your house. It's not a condo association. It's not a single owner owning it like an apartment and renting it out. We truly are a single family developer. We're gonna build these things, we're gonna put for sale sign on them, the realtors are gonna bring us clients and sell them to homeowners. And the goal would be, I mean, man, if we could have some teachers at the middle school there that buy a unit and can walk to work and, you know, that's the goal. We have a neighborhood in Crawford right now. And it's in the 300s and we're real near the schools down there. And the first two buyers in our neighborhoods were teachers. And it has been so long since I've been able to sell a house to a teacher or a firefighter, a policeman. You know, that was a win. And we're hoping to do something very similar. So.
Well, I guess when I said, you know, what's the market, I was thinking with that kind of density, I mean, are you looking at potential buyers who don't want to have a big garden or big yard?
Oh, certainly,
Yes.
certainly, yeah. So I think even my mom, for instance, right now, she's in her 70s and she lives in a 2,800 square foot house in Oconee County, and it's too much, and she has to take care of her yard, and she's a yard maintenance person. You know, maybe one of these ADUs is perfect for her. She can live on the first floor and, you know, somebody cuts her grass, she no longer has to call Kevin Gordon, that whatever the thing is, and tell him he didn't put enough pine straw in her yard, you know, she can call her HOA instead. But yeah, I think the different housing types and especially the ownership type of things, which we really want to.
Do you have a sense yet of what the tallest structure is going to be, height of it?
Yes, so the townhomes on the outer perimeter, the ones facing the outside of the units would be 2-story tall, and they would probably have a Clarke County building height of 26 feet or so or less. The interior units would be 3 stories, and I think we're looking at about 34, 33 feet, somewhere in there for those units on the building height. The commercial building is going to be a 1-story unit, so it will not have living apartments or any kind of offices above it. I was speaking to the architect, we're probably looking somewhere 22 feet for the height of that building. So actually the commercial building would probably be one of those heights. That is correct.
And for the townhome units, what kind of roofing material are you envisioning?
My preference would be dark colored architectural shingles, no metal roofs, no TPO or anything light or anything like that. And on commercial structure, that's all to be determined. If we did, and this is a knowledge question for me, but because I don't have a whole lot of experience building in an airport overlay. If we did want to go with like a metal roof on a commercial building, we can choose the colors of those. Is a dark color acceptable in those types of areas, or do you need, they may even have dark matte colors you can use on them. I have to do some research on that. What are the most preferred and acceptable materials there for you?
Non-reflective is,
Okay.
is the big.
Okay.
And then,
To answer your question, I just Googled Earth, it's about 2,800 feet from the threshold of the window to the nearest edge of the belt.
Yeah, and I think just while you bring that up, and I'm just mentioning, it looks like at a half mile from the end of a runway is the most dense development within a half mile of any of the runway ends. Now, of course, that runway is the smaller aircraft. It's not the big jets and all that, but it would be the first time, I believe from looking at it, looks like it'd be the most density that close to the end of the runway. And it's, just another point, it's also, it looks like it's level ground from the end of the runway. You're not, unlike developments going toward the west from the main runway, the land goes down. Here it's, I believe it's pretty level versus the runway. So, I'm just bringing it up to come in things. Start on that.
Yeah, that's
I will say that when we did meet, you know, because I have met with them like a couple of weeks ago, and, you know, we discussed, you know, the what ifs, you know, like it is mostly a single engine, but single engine, they have a single engine. And, you know, pilots are trained not to turn around, you know, to fly straight ahead and find a place to land. So I did make them aware of all of it.
Yeah, anybody departing from 2-0, heading in that direction. If there will, there's all,
There are not a lot of outs coming up.
there are not a lot of towns going in that direction at all, but Gaines School as a roadway is going to be. Particularly with the orientation that this plot plan is not going to be any 10. So. Seems like that would be space. Goes back very quickly.
Yeah,
Moving out, you know. That's 150 feet a second or so.
Yeah.
So it looks like it looked like the direction of the flight bisects it on its narrow side and on its long side, which is only maybe 400 feet wide.
The more realistic, and what I think Cedar Creek notices more than anything is that left-hand pattern for 2-7. So that's the horizontal runway. You're in the downwind, basically, coming right. Lexington is just too. So you're getting a lot of traffic.
There's gonna be
overhead,
planes in the pattern.
going west.
Over just time like this, the circle oriented,
They're constant, like borders and they're, horizontal. Left hand. Constant. It's just gonna be, the same nuisance it is to anybody. It's just shit. You're under an airport open, they said. You know this when you're buying.
All the mayor.
All the mayor, call. If you look around the country, city's much larger than Athens, but cities all over the country doing what they can to step long out. Survive. 79 voices saying.
Dirty.
I'm not your neighbor. Bring me to your neighbor. You're
Say,
no.
yeah.
But you're their mole. That's why you joined the. All right.
They need to get real.
Yeah.
Well, right, and that's it's easy to say that, but you look around the country and you see what happens very famously in Chicago, aviation circles, but in Chicago, Mansfield, that bordered the lake in downtown Chicago, and Mayor Daley decided
in the dark of night.
in the dark of night to just throw a bunch of bulldozers right through the runway. General aviation does provide a lot to with the hopes of restoring service to these airports. So, that's always a challenge.
And I have told them also, we know that the FAA holds, food safety factor, to make sure that everything's safe around the airport. So they are educated on that too.
So as drawn here, this would be RM2 density or RM1?
This would be RM2 density. Well, we're not maxing out the RM2 density. The reason we're looking at RM1 versus RM2, it allows us, RM2 allows us to go to that 35-foot maximum height. It also allows us to look at different setbacks. little different conserved tree canopy requirements, some lesser conserved tree canopy requirements, and it gives us a little flexibility on the density. A little more with.
And you know that you-
9.95 units per acre, you're below our.
I think that's not accurate. Yeah, I think that's one of the, how we calculate the density, I think is still up for, yeah, so to explain how density is calculated, and Stephen, correct me if I'm wrong, but single family density is units per acre, houses per acre. RM is zoning is bedrooms per acre. So when we talk, you remember that right? Okay, cool. So then when we look at RS 15, we say, well, it's up to 15,000 square feet per unit or per lot, but it's also, I think, 6.2, 6.6 homes per acre. And so the density that you see here on the nine and some change is homes per acre and not bedrooms per acre. And so we're still having some discussions about how technically we calculate the density, because we have a single family product that we're proposing an RM multifamily zoning regulation. So how do we calculate that density?
The RM2 designation gives 24 bedrooms per acre.
Correct.
So 192 bedrooms would be available to 79.
If we were to do a straight rezone, it would. We're not doing a straight rezone. So
That's where the PD comes.
that's where the PD comes in. So we're not asking for 179 units or bedrooms. Well, even though that's our,
Would you, I mean, that'd be 2 to 3 bedrooms. So what are we getting?
yeah, so I think how many bedrooms we need?
There were, I can do some quick math. Do you know the divide of the 69 townhomes?
35 or the 8,
35 times 2, okay.
34 or the B.
That's a 3, so that's 72. 2, and then the 10 ADUs are 1 bedrooms. So that is 174, that's 184 finding.
It's right at
Yeah,
that, same.
Yeah, that's fair.
192.
Yeah.
If that's 8 acre.
Yeah.
And selling price, you said somewhere in the 3 to 4.
So our target is 300 to 425. That's where we want to live. And what arrives us at this density is all of those factors. We have to get our pad costs, basically the land underneath that townhome, to a certain level that allows us to be there. So when we start reducing density, what that does is it basically, it almost, if you took 20 units out of this or something like this, the development cost of the development would be virtually the same, if not the same, if that makes sense. And so what happens is now we have more in each pad. And what that does is it starts pushing us higher in that envelope of pricing and gets us into an absorption rate that is not as optimal. So it starts stressing that price.
Absorption rate being.
Absorption rate means how many units per month or how many units per year we can sell. And that's what we study for feasibility for us. We go out and we can draw maps around little areas in Athens. We can look at Athens data, we can look at regional data, and basically there is a population of people who already live here and who want to live here. A combination of those two who have jobs and who can afford a house in that price range. Now, we probably are not going to have anything in here that's priced 3 or 5. But if everything stayed the same today and inflation stays where it is, we're going to have things in here that start in the mid 3s and probably the nicer, bigger units or the units that have the ADU associated with them might get over into that now. So what happens is you take 20 units of density out of it, and you apply that to it, and next thing you know, we may be $30, $40, $50,000 a price point higher, which you can do. You combat that by higher finish level and stuff like that. And what happens is next thing you know, there may only be 20 houses a month that sell in the mid fours, whereas in the high threes, there's 100 houses a month that sell. And what happens is it takes you 8 or 9 years to build out your developments in 2 or 3. And it also doesn't help the people.
This is larger scale.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
I see you in your eye. That's, it gives you.
Very, very slow.
What it does is the people who need help getting over the hump, whether it is help with their financing, help with the price point, whatever it is, it's like just moving the goalposts right out. If that makes sense. And so.
So these townhome Bs would have then behind there.
A one-story ADU, which would be a one bedroom, one bath, and it would be on, these are the fee simple lots, these long rectangles.
Right.
Whoever buys.
Whoever has this has that.
Has that as well. And it becomes flex to them. What they can do is, if me and my wife bought one of those units, we wanted my mom to live in the thing, she can live there. We can afford to pay for it. It also helps people with financing. Somebody may want the bigger unit and they can't afford the monthly payment of the bigger unit, so they can actually use the rental income they would get from renting out the ADU to help them pay their monthly mortgage payment. So it's adding a different type of housing to the community and also adding something that's going to be in a low price point. It just adds 10 units that the community might need. The other factor of this is it's very walkable. And so there's walkability to these businesses, there's walkability all the way up to schools, the Ansonboro, you can actually walk to the vet school from this. There's further crosswalks and you can walk back around to some of the parks and things that are back up.
Cherokee Road,
Old Lexington Road.
accessible to Satterfield Park. It's walkable to
Exactly.
Southeast Clarke.
So,
How are they?
go ahead.
This is
Yeah.
curiosity.
Um,
What are the addresses for the ADUs?
It would be the same, it would be the
Street
exact
address?
same. I don't even think the post office would designate an A or a B part of the unit. I think that.
So they share one common utility.
That is correct. You
You
can-
have electrical and plumbing,
Yeah,
gas.
that's the differentiation between, essentially single family, fee simple. You can't have a power meter on this structure and a power meter on this structure.
They just have
or two.
Panel, cell panel.
That is correct. And whoever owns the main townhome, they'll pay the water bill, the power bill, everything. And if they feel like they need to up the rent a little bit for whoever's living there, they just say the utilities are.
Is it under single family where there's a restriction on renting portion of the residence? So that wouldn't apply in this case. Is that what you're also?
I don't, I would have to adhere to planning on this.
Somewhere.
There's a definition of family. The restriction on renting to
Somebody's
two
not.
or more unrelated people cannot live together, more than two, cannot live in the same house.
That applies to apartments.
That's what I'm saying. That's why you're wanting that. I have a question about trees.
Yes, ma'am.
Because this lot used to be wooded. It even used to have goats on it.
I've heard about this.
So are there any really precious trees that you're going to fell or that need to be considered for preservation?
Yeah, that's
How are you going to deal with trees on this one?
a great question. So, we have walked the site. Unfortunately, the few trees that are on the site are not really add a whole lot of value.
Yeah.
We would be replacing, we would be adding new street trees along all frontages. And then also having trees throughout the development as well.
But is that something that you actually have to look at in surveying the piece of property? I mean, I know they
Yeah.
do this in places.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Athens-Clarke County has a really great, tree canopy regulation.
Right.
So we have 2 criteria that we need to meet. The conserved canopy requirement
Mhm.
and the planting. tree canopy requirements. Here in this condition, there's not a whole lot of canopy to conserve. So we're part of our waiver is going, part of our list of waivers is going to be requesting a waiver to the required conserve. There's really no way for us to conserve a canopy that's in the site. There's no large stand of trees to conserve.
No old oaks or.
I think there's maybe like a sweet elm here, some.
Yeah, there's some along here, but they're kind of spreading. So you're gonna clear cut and bulldoze.
And then plant new trees. That's right.
On-street parking,
With their garages,
garages, what are,
Every unit has a two-car, drive-in garage. So it'd be a 16 feet wide garage door that you can fully pull two cars in. And I believe, the only exception to that would be the one bedroom ADUs, they will not have that. And there also should be, enough room behind the curb, because all of these are rear loaded from alleys. There should be enough room between the alley curb and the front of that garage to pull two additional cars if needed in front of that, because there's only gonna be 24, 26 feet between that curb and that garage, so you can't narrow that down to like a driveway entry. So that will be fully concrete. So technically, every one of the A and B type units, I wouldn't envision anybody would have that many cars living in these, because not that many. These are all 2 and 3 bedroom units, but you could park 4 cars on each individual lot. And then as you come along, really all the streets on the interior and perimeter, they're showing permeable pavers on those on-street parking spaces all there, all along Sunnyview, back up to Spring Tree. And then we have a couple of internal parking lots that have additional parking associated with it. And then obviously the small parking in the commercial space. And then again, a lot of this hope is, that, there is some walkability here. So, the hope would be to have a coffee shop here in the commercial, somebody wakes up in the morning, walks down here, grabs a cup of coffee and a bagel, and they're not getting in the car and running down the road to Starbucks. So the walkability factor, the bikeability factor too. I'm a tech that works at the vet school. I get my bike and ride my bike to work. Those types of, hopefully that should cut down some of the need for good trips on the roads and some parking spots.
One of the things that drives the density beyond the market reasons that Jared was explaining is in Athens-Clarke County, we do have limited capacity in our utility infrastructure. So, for instance, our sanitary sewer infrastructure has limited capacity in certain areas. And so, one of the things that we've been encouraged by the utility department, and you'll see in the future land use map plan, is the conversations around the idea that create more density where we have the capacity and we have the infrastructure, and more density where those areas are walkable, right? So that we also decrease the strain on our transportation infrastructure too. And so beyond the market reasons, there's some planning and engineering reasons why it makes sense for density here. This is really a golden opportunity, with the exception of trying to manage the airport over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the microphone.
And at the moment, it's our biggest risk, right? And that's why we wanted to come before you guys early in this process. The way this process will go from here, depending on your feedback, is that we would still have to come before you with a special use. So we have 2 processes that we would run in parallel if we were to have consensus from you guys on the project. Is we would formalize this agreement through a submittal to the planning commission for the PD. That's one separate item, and then the special use, which would allow us to do the housing in the airport. You guys would have to approve special use before it went to planning commission.
Let me get the way in.
Yeah.
So is that like, Is that what we would do next meeting then, right? Would we have it? is
Oh,
that
I
what
don't
we
know
would
when
do
they're
it?
gonna come in. Once, it's
Okay.
gonna follow the procedure like you just saw a month ago.
Okay, so this is this is real early.
That's right.
Wait,
Real
real
early.
early, okay, because I was thinking.
Yeah, we're
early.
gonna move fast. To be
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
plain with you, we're gonna move fast. But you're our first stop because we think you're our biggest risk and we want your feedback.
Okay,
Do you happen to know, or are you able to get data on the densities of other developments like community of Lexington, nearby?
The big
Just,
Atlas one, you mean?
I'm sorry.
The one on Atlas, the great huge.
24.
When you saw last time.
Yeah, any of, so, just so we can put on, a common horizon, where does this stand? Yeah, when we're comparing it to lots developed in the 40s, 50s, 60s, where it's, a house every acre and a half, 2 acres, which is surrounded, in a lot of these surrounding areas, to, obviously, I think we all see that there is so need for more density in places, but where is this project compared to other projects that we've done?
Probably have to go.
Yeah, just,
We can pull- yeah, we can
just pull a couple of those. And,
I
think
think this one is less dense than the one
it,
you
it
saw.
it seems less dense,
so.
but
I think it
I
is.
don't, seeing the numbers, I think.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's one.
Are the parameters y'all are looking through, like the lenses you're looking through, glare, height, density, or the like order of operations as far as importance and decision making?
I think there are certain non-negotiables, you can't shine lights up at the sky.
Right.
But, the other issues that are common, one, from a public safety perspective, we don't want there to be, God forbid, any sort of accident that impacts more people, fewer people, just because we have more dense development. Two, there's the nuisance and, carrying on, the airport has to continue to exist and we can't, cut off our nose to spite our face, with what's allowed nearby. You see that very commonly happen. And you see and hear from other airport managers, directors, authorities, where they haven't done a good job, or previous directors hadn't done a good job of protecting, not just the airport overlay for a safety perspective, but from development, and then the airport isn't able to continue its own development. We need, hypothetically, if we ever needed to expand 220 in one direction or the other, obviously we've got Lexington Road there, that would make for an issue, but building, not necessarily with respect to this project, but putting a big high-rise building at the end of it is going to make things more challenging to continue to use and develop. So, we don't have a crystal ball. But we're hoping to leave the place better for the employees there. Certainly.
So is there a threshold of project that you look at that you can immediately say, well, no, this is totally not gonna work? Not from a glare standpoint, we know that that's in code, you gotta comply, but is there size of project or?
I think that,
threshold?
there it depends on how tall it is and where, geographically it is.
Topography, distance from them.
Exactly. As you know, there's a fringe zones or 3-dimensional spaces, and as long as you're underneath them, then that's okay. And I think the topography here, it drops 50 feet or so from airport elevation, something like that.
So
So
they have very specific criteria about what's about. Just from what we've discussed, I don't think that's an issue per se.
right, 30 feet from ground or 35 feet from ground, I think still puts us at an elevation that's lower than field elevation. So I don't think that's gonna be, unless you start putting cell towers or something on the top of your buildings, I don't think those are gonna be the issues. We ran into that on a project over near the university, so.
Oh, I remember. It's sat on a hill or something.
Sat up on a hill and it was several stories high and I want to say that they moved buildings around and were, on the same site in order to get it just barely out of the approach. So, or changed orientation or something. Over by where the river.
Cross place, was it?
Behind the stadium, yeah, Carsville area, yeah, Carsville area, thank you. Has Hill right in
It
there?
was a big project that we looked at right at the end of this runway, a few years ago. You remember where you could see the fence right at the runway and the proposal was for 3-story units and everything, and that there was a big issue that I remember us
Yeah,
discussing that about the density as well as the height.
yeah.
Right, as you get closer to the runway, those heights become more and more important. And this east-west running runway, from the grand scheme of the airport and its operations, is the important. So what we can get away with off the end of 220 is much more vast than what we could do similarly located off the end of 927. Though, the areas, due to, just what exists south of the airport versus what exists west of the airport, what people are looking to build where and what kind of issues it sets up. The issues are just different. We don't have people calling to complain from the, areas, west of the airport.
Gotcha.
Whereas
We
south of the
have
airport, to the east,
We do have a few east, yeah.
east and south, nothing is to the north
No,
at
not
all.
to the north.
And
Or
then,
west, yeah.
and, there's very little to, a lot of the development projects that we've seen are in the areas west of the airport, Nelly B, that area. Yeah. Where those lots are looking for, still single family, mostly residences, just higher density. There had been one resident per acre, which law limitation, which is very challenging for us to approve anything. We can approve anything. It's range from 2412.
Was it last month or the month before that you approved the project, essentially at the end of 927, it's about 3 stories.
Yeah.
Down in the
Side off
hole,
Lexington, off of Lexington. It sits in a hole, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's just below the end of the runway, yeah, it didn't
Right.
cross the runway yet.
Yeah, and that's one of the nice things that you have there. You have a 3-story building there that's still below, ground level at the airport. It is a major consideration. Whereas a 3-story building, somewhere, all of a 10-story building being there versus 10-story building south of the airport where the elevation's fairly flat would be.
Was that project a multifamily project? Was,
And traditional, like, property style.
so it should in theory have a higher density. Than we're looking
I
at.
think
That
it wasn't, density at it, which,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't directly in our approach either. That was off outside of, I think there was just a corner of something that was.
It's a lot,
Yeah.
none of the housing was actually under it.
I got you.
So what design, you haven't talked about the sort of architectural design of this complex, you have something in mind, is it gonna be contemporary, traditional, like Hensonborough?
It's gonna be more traditional, and I think that just fits better on the east side and what's there of not standing out. So as a matter of fact, I was in the architect's office before I came here. So, and we were having those discussions. So, I would think the architectural would be more traditional in nature. It's not going to look like an industrial type development that you might see off of Chase or Prince Avenue or something like that. I think the architecture is a little bit, softer and more traditional on the side. And I think maybe is that Shane Todd's building next to the road. It's a little bit more modern in nature. That one stands out a little bit more than some of the
The
other.
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, yeah.
It's contemporary.
Yeah, I think the idea here is to go.
Like Ensenborough, or is it a bit too high?
I don't,
That's very traditional.
it is very traditional.
Expensive.
My eye lends me, more cleaner lines and more contemporary. That's what I like most. So, I do think there's a little bit of a balance there. We're certainly going to be using brick and smooth hardy siding and mixtures of those things. I think that you'll see metals materials on the commercial building that might have some brick and some stucco and some things like that. Certainly architectural shingles on the buildings. But they are residential in nature, so they're going to look very much, if you go to my website and see the neighborhoods we build, I imagine that the units will have a pretty similar style to that, but they'll be townhomes and touching each other on the side as opposed to be, wide houses. We're gonna stay in those same changes.
One of our members, the chair actually, the authority, wasn't able to make it. He's actually on the subcommittee with David and Craig. It's up to you guys. Do you want to get with them and discuss it as far as, what the tolerance from minutes?
Yeah, if planning doesn't mind, just, yeah, just a few of, a handful, just where this stands, if you pick out.
Sure. In the surrounding area.
Yeah, in the immediate area. Again, I wish my memory was better, but seeing that, just knowing that this is lower density, I feel like it seems like
I think it is.
like a lot.
I think it is lower.
And then I think that would favor super well. From
So, yeah, and I think, we understand we're not looking for a final answer. But if it's a thumbs down, absolutely, we want to know.
I don't think that, we very rare, after we made those changes to, planning the interchange to Warren, so, our goal is not to. So our goal is to not stand on that business. So it costs a lot of pieces of puzzle, so. But I think the process was obviously also worth mentioning. The way, once this does come in front of us, our committee gives a recommendation to the authority makes a motion that the authority can choose to pass that motion or not. That's what it puts into his manager's report, it's back to the mayor and commission and planning and gets them piled together. So it's not, we could say absolutely thumbs up or all for it, the mayor and commission would say no, and vice versa.
It's just advisory. We could say no way, and the mayor could say.
And we could say.
So,
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
Sure. We hope that our opinion counts a little bit, but it's just that. To the little that we may matter, we don't stand in your way as things. this being available at St. Louis.
I speak from planning's perspective and say the airport's authority, the airport's recommendation matters a whole lot. We can take a project that planning is otherwise super poor and deny it because the airport didn't send it. So mayor and commission can make what they would choose to make, but planning is going to heavily rely on the airport authority's recommendation. So it does matter to at least some.
Well, and that's, we appreciate that because it's important to, when, like I said, we don't want to have to say no, but if we feel like there is a bona fide reason why a no is the right answer, then we do want that heard, at least recorded somewhere. So.
Well, and look, I mean, you're two parties who are vested in the community sitting here with you. And so we want to be good partners as well. So that's why we're here. Yeah.
And if there's anything, it sounds like mainly the concerns are not totally technical in nature here. It's, hey, we put a lot of people over here. These planes are rolling over the top of them. They start complaining and, you know, I'm a real estate developer, so the complaint arena is something that, you know, I live in very well. You know, as I get older, there's, you know, different levels of things I can do and not do about it. But if there is anything that we can do as part of our development or as part of education or something like that, anything you guys have seen in the past that helps educate people on things so that obviously they, number one, know it and expect it, and then number two, are not turning into those folks who complain. I know that there is some level, there's just a certain percentage of the population that wake up in the morning and they figure out what to complain about that day. I don't think there's anything any of us can ever do to affect that small segment. And I don't think that segment moves the needle. Does that make sense? The needle gets moved when something gets out of that segment and becomes a mandate. And then that mandate is, hey, the whole community doesn't like this, or the whole, and so if there's anything I can help do as a developer to, on an education piece or a documentation piece that you guys have ever seen, something like that, we would love to, because we want the airport. It's one of those things where the hospitals are thriving, the airport's thriving, and you know, we're all businesses, we're all in this together, or we're all organizations, we're in this together, and if most of us are doing well, that means probably all of us are in those partnerships.
Well, I know you're probably waiting on airport authority to give a thumbs up, thumbs down. How soon could you get together?
So when Jeff is available.
Yeah, I think Jeff's involved and Jeff's out for some family needs.
Yeah, we give them a chance for input.
Yeah.
What you mentioned earlier, from my perspective, would be very helpful, and that is if you would pull a couple of projects for context and for comparison, you know, so that we're not looking at this in sort of isolation, even though we have vague recollections about others with past recommendation. Just not better understand it.
Yes, please.
Yes, Mike will get it to us.
Yeah,
Let me note a couple of things.
Yeah.
One, this is gonna come from my office, assuming that they move forward. It's gonna come from my office to Mike for you to make a formal decision on.
Mhm.
So there's no need or timeline to make a formal decision right now with your subcommittee or anything. This is not anything on the agenda.
Right.
What today is, we call it concept review.
Okay,
You're
that's
just
good.
looking at it, you're saying, hey, this sticks out as something that you're gonna have to fix or change or whatever, or this seems like it works. And just giving that general kind of feedback.
Yeah, that's good. That was my confusion. I was thinking this is like, as we've done in the past, you come, you know, we move for the next 2 months.
So, yeah, and from a planning standpoint, we want to know if this works, then we're gonna look at the rest of the Gaines School corridor for more stuff like this.
yeah.
So if you do have today some kind of thumbs up, thumbs down, not binding or anything, but if you do have something today, that would be helpful for the applicant, and be helpful for planning. And then knowing that if this does move forward, you'll get a formal submission and a formal presentation vote on this thing at a later date.
Is it presumptive that you wouldn't be here if you didn't already like?
We are here just a
They're
company.
here to keep me honest.
Okay, all right.
50%.
So we understand that you endorse it.
So you've made no decision on your own based on.
There's been nothing submitted to review.
Got it, okay.
I think this was as much our request to get here first because, you know, it's a business thing. Buck's very expensive and, if, you know, if the.
Master tickets aren't cheap.
If the airport authority is not on board with this, that means they're probably not gonna be on board with this. That means we need to go back to the drawing board before we, you know, the way these PDs work, they're binding. So I gotta go pay an architect to draw these buildings and make them look beautiful and have pictures you can fly in 3D and things like that. And you know, there's multiple things that we have to do.
So we come back in front of you, you'll have a very deep.
Like, I'm just.
Yeah.
Right. You guys may want to consider insulation on these properties too,
Okay.
because anything you can do to enhance that,
Mhm.
whether it's the windows, the doors, the actual insulation and everything.
Yeah.
There's whole kinds of projects related to airports to reduce the impact of aircraft noise on
Certainly.
residents. So, and that could be a selling point too.
I would actually, and in the next, when's 927 due to open them? Tomorrow. Yeah. Bummer. It would have been a really good time to get over there and pay attention. So 927 is the main use road. The winds are primarily coming out of the west, you land and take off.
All the larger.
And all the larger aircraft
Yeah.
need to use the
Yeah.
long length runway.
Yeah.
Irrespective of where the winds are. Right now, we're doing a project that because of its closure, and we're using the runway that planes will be taking off and landing over.
Right.
If you go on Reddit around these times, anytime we go to 927, anytime we close 927, you see an influx of all of the people saying, why are there all these planes that are, you know, what's happening in Athens? Well, nothing's changed. The air traffic is all the same. It's just, it moved from this orientation to that orientation.
Right.
Okay. You know, so what's gonna happen, you know, any development, somebody's gonna move in and they're going to not see a plane ever, and then all of a sudden the airport's gonna have a project and then they'll see these planes and then it's like, I didn't. Right in the ordinance, there's a section of, you know, what has to carry through the deeds, you know, from an educational standpoint, just make sure your villagers know that that, hey, this is in there. I'm just, bring them out here. But the, you know, all of the rest of, you know, our needs are really laid out. So even though PUD subverts all of that effectively, you know, through its process where you can get approval and just, you know, the non-reflective thing, you know, all down, you know, all your string lamps, you know, shielded the top, down the face. You know, the color temperature of lights, make sure that they're just not distracting. So forth. Pretty constant.
Yeah.
You know, if you're asking for a full thumbs up, you know, we'd like to talk to Jeff. I mean, I think Preston.
I think the thumb is. kind of going
The thumb is not wanting to go down. You know, it's. I don't think there's a precedent based on what we've heard to say that this isn't.
There are no glaring red flag that'd be automatic. No.
Exactly. I'm curious from, you know, the density thing, but I don't think that that's.
So what's the timeline? Are we looking at being able to come together at the next meeting?
Well, they would submit it.
Yeah, it's balls in their court as far as.
Okay, so, well, I'm looking at, you know, I think Jeff really does need to have his input like we
And if you
just.
guys can communicate
And then
by
we can-
email with.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
by phone, and we can get
talk,
stuff pretty.
you know, I can call Jeff, you know, we can all talk and then, you know,
Yeah, what I'd like to propose maybe is you guys do what you need to do, right? Mike, if maybe in 2 weeks, is that time for you to kind of,
Yeah, I'll give Jeff a call and tell him, well, yeah, I'm gonna give his wife, yeah, there's some family things, so I wanna give him some time, but I'll tell him to. I'll ask him to give me a call on his schedule first.
so I'll follow up with you, Mike, in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And again, nothing binding, just.
Yep.
Get your feel on it. Yeah.
And then you give them, yes,
Well, you know,
But that would be after they submit.
After they
So,
submit.
once they, the typical, you know, how this all rolls out is we don't hear about anything until it's already gone to planning.
Right,
Planning
and then it'll-
then comes
then
and
it'll come
puts it
back.
on our agenda.
Yeah.
So this is,
this is
Yeah.
the pre thing.
this is just conceptual. You know, they wanted to know, are we going to be a stick in the mud down the line? And I don't think that there will be any.
it throws people off when developers are good community partners, and that's all we're trying to do.
I think it's good to have this sort of process.
Yeah,
That we will.
I really appreciate this meeting. There were some education things here for me that I didn't understand that helps me tremendously. So,
Yeah, we like hearing about these
Yeah.
things, you know, every now and
I'd also like to know, you know, I mean, every project is new, but there's different dimensions. One of our roles should be to actually learn about development and communities. This is very helpful.
Would it be wrong to think that like, you know, PD submittal or something like that comes before you all, especially use that the applicant in their narrative kind of addresses, we've identified this as roughly this distance from the runway, coming into its topography,
Yeah.
like kind of precise the table for you a little bit.
Yeah, I would do tough to do, so.
That would be very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
a lot of, you know, I think a lot of the PD is to sell you all on a project and they're very impressive to read. But it's a lot to read.
Right.
You know, yeah, largely we're skimming them for those key data points. What kind of roofing materials are you using? What kind of lighting? Yeah. And all of that is elsewhere in the ordinance. You know, it can, from the single family residential requirements can be extracted, you know, to everything that requires the waiver process in the first place. And with PDs, you know, just extrapolate it out. That's our basis.
We see that as a combined effort between you guys and planning and us. And so when we prepare that narrative, we'll typically submit it and we'll receive comments. You guys will have input on those comments and we'll address that narrative the way that you want it, the way that makes sense and provides you the appropriate guarantees that you need.
Yeah, a lot of times in the ones we see, some of those materials haven't been spec'd and scoped in the project, you know, and, you know, we'll see a TBD and it's like, you know, we need the D in order to give our. So, you know, that can be frustrating, you know, so to the extent possible when putting those together. And it will be one of these 5 materials that are all compliant, you know,
Yeah.
just read the ordinance and know the ordinance and then okay, it's all in front of us.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, it is an ordinance, which means when it comes to plan review, it does not require the airport authority to have said, hey, you have to do it, like.
Sure.
We are prepared to enforce that because it is an ordinance, it's not just a command from the
Yeah,
airport.
that's good too.
So it will get enforced even if you didn't say it has to be.
That's good to know. I don't know that was ever articulated, but thank you for articulating. You know, a lot of times we're just looking for something. Or we feel like we're useless. So, hey, we did read through all of this.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely.
Good to see you, always a pleasure.
And the third one's
very nice to meet you.
It'd be helpful if we left the larger.
Yes, that would be.
Yeah.
And,
Exactly.
do you want to take one?
I'll take one.
I'll take that loop.
Yeah, Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks.
Take care.
This is one of Cole's.
It won't-
Cole's.
yeah.
You can put it in your office, you go on the other big sheets. if you-
Yeah, I'm referred to it. And read.
So the next meeting will be on Tuesday, October 22nd. And,
Yeah.
and there's no other discussion needed. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
All in favor? Unanimous? Adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing that.
It's just.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it's really operational.
Just wanting